welcome back to Indie Faith Podcast. You're here with Jules and Mary,
Hey,
and this is episode 35. How are you guys?
I'm good, thank you, Kaz. It's Saturday and it's raining, but I'm good. How are you going?
Yeah, good. Yeah. How was Mother's Day?
Mother's Day was good. I just you know how have you seen those TikTok videos where they're like what mothers do on Mother's Day, but what they actually want to do? So it's like they still actually do motherly things, but what they actually want to
Yeah,
do is just sit on the couch, watch movies, and everyone leaves her alone.
yeah.
But it was good. I just fed her a
Actually,
baby. Oh, sorry, Kaz, what you said?
nah, it was I think Rob wanted me to rest, but you know me, just ended up like when I see mess, I have to clean it. And yeah, he's like, it's Mother's Day, just leave it to me. And yeah, well, what about the? It's just sitting there.
Can you just do it?
uh, so oh, it's AAPI month as well. So happy
Yes.
AAPI, Asian and
Happy
Pacific Island
API.
Heritage Month. Heritage Month. Anyway, so we'll kick it off with our pop topic. And I'll hand it over to you guys.
Okay. So I found this one. I'm not gonna lie, last night because we were scrambling for like different pop topics. But I really,
Yeah,
really love
sorry,
this
my
one.
bad.
As soon as I saw it, no, that was my bad. So as soon as I saw it, I was like, I have to do it. I really want to do this one. Because it's cute, and I'm a sucker for like romance and love things. So I wanted to talk about this one. Basically, it's about
Mm,
a love song that was written by a Navy sailor, and it
mm,
became viral on TikTok like 64 years later. Excuse me. So Morton Block, he's currently 82 years old. He wrote a love song for his wife back when he was like in the Navy and everything. They used to like exchange letters and keep in contact that way. But he knew straight away that she was the one for him, which I was like, oh, anyways. So he wrote the song for her and he used to perform it for, the guys, because they're all out at sea and everything, and he used to perform it to them. And then he came back and he would just perform it for his family and his kids, and then later on his grandkids.
mm.
Um, so he didn't think anything of it. He just thought it was just like something small. Fast forward like 60 plus years later, and his grandson, Matt, he's also a musician too. He found the song and he decided to do something more serious with it because it's such a cute little song. So he told his grandfather to set up a TikTok page, and I'm pretty sure because we have a grandmother who's about the same age. If we told her about TikTok, she'd be like, "Yeah."
I know, way.
Or so yeah, so he was like, "What the heck's TikTok? I don't understand." But his grandson obviously helped him set it all up, and then he posted the video of I think it was their honeymoon or some sort of vacation they went out to, with the song playing in the background.
Mm.
And I'm pretty sure everyone knows with TikTok, because it's so freaking massive, that when you post a video with a song, people can use the sound that you posted.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now it's just blown up. It's like completely blown up. So he's got like 16,000 followers now, over 400K likes on that one video. And I think it's been viewed like 1.6 million times now. So it's
Mm.
blown up and it's viral. And he can't believe how his song that he wrote 60 years ago is now super massive and super viral. So I thought that was really good. And I thought it was really cute. And his wife said it's more like she loves the song more now, not just because it's gone viral, but because she remembers all the years back to so like how they came from that moment to like
Mm.
now. She says it just
Dang.
means so much more to her now. So I was like, oh, beautiful story. I'm going to talk about it.
Yeah. And when you told me about the topic, I went on Spotify to listen to the
Me
song.
too.
It's so beautiful.
So cute.
I love it.
It's really good.
It's got like a swing jazzy vibe,
Yeah.
kind of, but it's awesome because like you have this song, it's like what do you call it, it's like a time machine kind of thing. You're in your
Yeah.
2022, and it's like you're hearing a song from the 50s and it's being released now.
Yeah.
It's
It's
so cool.
crazy. I thought it was awesome, and I think that's why it blew up so much. And I think he said the same thing. Like Morton Block said the same thing. He feels like people love the song because it's such a timeless type of a song.
Mm,
I was like, cute, but yeah, it just shows that like no matter how old something is, you can still make it go viral.
yeah, yeah. Never too old. He's 82 years old and he like hit success. Yeah,
Yeah,
I am not complaining.
I'm not
I
either. So
got
that gives
plenty
me
of
hope for
time.
us. Gives me hope. So I'm like, I like it.
Yeah, yeah. No, I love it. Thanks so much. That was a beautiful, beautiful story. And for those who want to check it out, the song is called "My Love."
Yeah,
By
Morton Block, but it's Matt Block. So Matt Block, Morton Block. It's on Spotify.
yeah, check it out. Kind of like a James Bond feel as well.
Hmm. I was thinking that too last night. I was like, really nice. It's smooth.
Yeah. All right. So, we'll move on to our main topic. So our main topic, this one has been in our list for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think we've touched on a little bit of it, like of it throughout, multiple episodes, but we're actually we figured we'd dedicate a full episode on this,
Yeah.
since it's AAPI month. So the topic for today is hair, skin, and beauty. Um, yeah. Particularly for Asians and Pacific Islanders. So
Mm-hmm.
the beauty standards within our communities. Um, so in both Asian and Pacific Islander culture, this is something I've noticed all my life, and I see it throughout our previous generations. That fair skinned people are beautiful and dark skinned people are not. Um, what are your thoughts on that?
Um, I think this one hits close to home a little bit because I'm pretty sure, like, we grew up in a sort of household, well, not household, but around people who would obviously make it known what was considered beautiful and what wasn't.
Yeah,
Um, so I think it does hit home a little bit because obviously we're brown kids, and then you have your fairer family members, or lighter skinned family members, or Afakasi family members. So you can obviously feel the difference with how one would be treated compared to the other based on their complexion, really. So
yeah,
I think that was the norm for us growing up.
yeah,
And I think even as a young kid, you would feel it was sort of wrong. You don't fully understand it,
yeah,
but you can feel that it's not 100% right,
yeah.
if that makes sense. So yeah, I think when it comes to this sort of beautiful standard that we have, especially in our Pacific like culture, it's
Mm,
really it's very awkward. Like I didn't like it. I honestly didn't like it growing up. I didn't like that you would be treated differently because you were considered better looking, but you would
yeah.
see your other family member be treated differently because he wasn't considered or she wasn't considered beautiful to in someone's eyes, kind of thing.
Mm.
What do you think, Cuz?
Actually, I wanted to before I jump into mine, I wanted to ask for your experience because you're you're fair skinned.
Yeah.
Did you notice that you had more of an advantage than anyone else in the family, or you got
um
treated differently because you're fairer?
I think I felt it growing up where but it wasn't even like I in my mind I was like, oh, I'm just treated the way I'm treated. Like
Mm,
it's no big deal. But then when what I would see or I would witness, one of my other family members who isn't as fair as me get treated differently, I hated
yeah,
it because
yeah,
um because it didn't make a difference to me. I think that's what's so good about kids is that they're so innocent and they're so pure, and those sorts of things don't matter. Kids usually go
Mm.
for what their instincts tell them. So if that person's got a good heart, if that person's a nice person, if that other kid is kind or friendly or isn't a mean person, they gravitate towards those type of people. But
Yeah.
so that's what kids are like. So I think growing up as a kid, I wouldn't understand why my loved ones would be treated the way that they were treated. I hated it. I fully
Yeah.
I used to hate it because it wasn't fair. I used to be like, what's your problem? Like, it's not their fault that they're, this color, or that they're this dark, or this, like, what's your deal? And I know it's something that's, it's a generational thing where it's just all they
Mm.
know. And they just obviously copying what they've known, because they've been treated like that, or that's how it went back in when they were young, and everything like that. But I think that's what's so important about us trying to break those sorts of things, because you see it now where there's obviously a difference with a kid's self-esteem and how they are and how they perceive themselves because of the environment
Yeah.
that they grew up in. So I think
Yeah.
that's the disadvantage for them, which wasn't really fair. And I think that was my advantage because I'm already a bubbly person, but I think because I didn't get that sort of treatment, it wasn't as hard for me to sort of come out of my shell more or be a bit more confident. Um, like I know
Yeah.
I lack in confidence in some areas, but I know that my loved ones who were treated like that don't have the same confidence, which is so frustrating because I know that they're amazing. I know that they're wonderful, and I know that they're super talented, super incredible, super smart. And that's what bothered me. It bothered me that growing up we were treated differently based on how we looked, as opposed to like you know seeing how special each individual kid was, for their
Yeah.
mind, and for their spirit, and for their heart. Those are the sorts of things that I feel like are more important than what we look like. And I
Yeah.
think it made
Yeah.
us kids focus on more on how we look rather than like
Yeah.
what we feel on the inside. So I think that for me, yeah, I hated it. Well,
Yeah.
I still
Yeah.
hate it,
100%.
growing up. Because you know how we have kids. You and I have kids, our cousins have kids, our siblings have kids,
Yeah.
and we treat every kid the same. Except for our own
Yeah.
child. We're biased, like, with our own kid, we can be a lot harder on our kid and a lot more strict. But as far as a whole, we don't see, well, it's not that we don't see, but we don't treat any kid different based on anything, really. We love them the same, we
Yeah.
treat them the same, we don't make one feel like they're better looking than the other one. And I think we just see our babies.
Yeah.
That's all we see. We just
Yeah.
see our beautiful babies, and that's it. But what about you, Cuz? Because I know growing up, it was harder for you. And in my mind, I didn't think you were that much more. You know, like I thought you were fair as well, but apparently
Yeah.
not
No.
in the eyes of the adults.
Yeah. So we like yeah. So that's why I wanted to ask about your experience, because I was on the other end of
Yeah,
the spectrum, um, where I was one of the dark ones. Let's just say that. Um, but like I have say 8 siblings, and most of them are all fair. And I noticed that the fairer ones got treated differently than we did. Um, and like even if it wasn't said straight up, um, you could
like
tell,
it's
like
implied.
yeah, especially when they talk about, oh, my son, like, this one and that one is so beautiful, blah blah, but they never say those comments to you.
Yeah,
So at a young age, you kind of already pick up, oh yeah, it's because I'm dark.
yeah,
um, but like I also witnessed, one of my siblings pretty much like get um a lot of comments based on his skin color, and like things like black nigger,
mm,
monkey,
mm,
like like that's the words that were said. And like for him, like you know with me it was like you know, whenever it, like say for like within my you know own sort of siblings, whenever we tease each other, it used like my one was any sort of like black female.
Mm.
You know, it was like you know, Whoopi Goldberg or you know, so and so. So like we grew up hating our skin color,
Yeah.
and I don't think people realized how bad and how deep that went, because we also went to a school where there were no dark skinned people at all.
Mm.
Like we were the darkest ones, and it was like a school mostly of you know Asians, wogs, and there was no islanders. You didn't see any islanders. You didn't see anyone that looked like either the same color or a bit darker. And so I used to be so embarrassed that even on a hot day I would wear a jumper,
Mm-hmm.
just because like I was so embarrassed of my skin
Yeah.
color. Um and like that was at school, but it was something that was drilled into us in from home, you
Yeah.
know. Like I'll be straight up, grandma grandma was the main instigator. But she comes from that
Yeah.
time, you know, like that time where it was pretty much indoctrinated that, you know, darker skinned people are, you know, less attractive than a fairer skinned people.
Mm.
A lot of islanders favor fairer
Yeah.
skin. Yeah, it wasn't until I got older and then, you know, I did more shadow work and all that. And then, like, you know, I'm actually proud of my skin
Mm-hmm.
color now. Like, all of that, like, you know, all those demons and that, it, like, once I started working on myself, I didn't
Yeah.
care anymore. Like, but it did impact me for years, um, with that kind of treatment. But then, yeah, uh, oh, the another experience was, so I have a sister,
Mm.
and she's about, I think she's 20 years younger than
Yeah.
me. 20 years younger. So I'm the oldest, and then I've got five brothers, and then finally had a sister. She came out fair. Like
Mm.
she's very fair. Very, very fair. And I remember um um like grandma saying and to be fair on grandma, I am her favorite. Sorry, cuz
All
like
right. No.
but like even though I am her favorite, when it comes to the beauty
Mm.
stuff, like it's still
Yeah.
different. Like you know, like what am I trying to say here? Like even though I'm grandma's
Yeah.
favorite, like she said to me when my sister was born, she goes, "Oh, she's so beautiful, she's so fair, not like my Xiaokama,
Yeah.
like not like
Like my
you know
baby. Yeah.
what's the yeah, not like my baby here." And she was looking at me, and I'm like, "I
Like favorite, eh?
thought I was your favorite." So just said, "Oh, okay,
All right. Man.
cross you." Nah. But yeah, it was like it, like just hearing that, and it was like, okay, so that means like I can still be the favorite, but I'm not beautiful. And I also see that within like the
Mm.
family, like one of my brothers, was treated, not treated different, but more had a lot of compliments based on his looks because he's fair.
Yeah.
Whereas with us, like no one would say, "Oh, you're beautiful,"
Mm.
blah blah blah. But this particular one, so
Yeah.
handsome, so blah blah blah. Yeah, but yeah, like I'm lucky that I went through. Oh, did work on myself so that like now that doesn't even bother me
Mm.
anymore. But I still see members of our
Yeah.
family that are so affected by
Mm.
that. Um, even up until their 50s, 60s, still affected by that because it's
Mm.
traumatizing. Um, yeah, but I was looking at why is that like You know, at some point where you're like, is grandma racist?
Oh, almost. And no one talks about it. Like, I'm pretty sure every family member, island family member, like, are we racist?
Yeah, yeah. That's what I like. I thought grandma was the only one. I because that was the only one in the family that would be upfront about it.
Yes.
But it wasn't until
Mm.
later that I realized it's also you could see that kind of behavior within her kids as
Mm.
well. And
But it's a
then
little bit
you
more
know,
subtle.
and then when you go to church, yeah, yeah, and then when you go to church, like there's a whole bunch of other
Mhm.
Samoans that are the same mentality, same,
Yeah.
yeah. And then it used to surprise me. So like I always wondered, and then I looked into it, and I I realized that it's and I see Asians are the same as
Mm.
well. How like they have that same mentality where fair skin is beautiful and dark
Yeah.
skin isn't. But it's all to do with the social economic constructs and status back in the
Mm.
day. So um, if you were darker skinned, that signified that you worked in the
Yeah.
fields. So you were in the sun a lot. That's why you're darker, and that to society is poor because you had to work with your hands and that. But the rich guys, you'd know that you know who they are because they're fairer skinned because more they worked in the office or they worked
Yeah.
indoors. They didn't work outside. Um, so that's how it started was, rich people um, were, yeah, rich people were fairer skin and poor people were darker skin. So they always looked down on anyone that was darker skin
Mm.
because of that.
I mean, I get it from back
I
then. Oh,
also,
sorry, cuz.
mm,
No,
no, no,
I
no,
was
go,
just
go,
gonna
go.
say I get it for back then. I just don't get it now.
Yeah, it's that it's a
Mm.
generational thing. So it's something that was a strong thing in society back then in the community. They would have then, it might have just been a poor
Yeah.
rich thing, but then to their kids, they see their parents and they're like, "Oh, what? They don't like darker skinned people."
Mm.
So then they start
Yeah.
believing that, and then it's just a generational shit thing
Yeah.
that's just
Domino effect. Just
continued.
and that makes sense.
Yeah, and it's the same with like when I look at grandma's mentality and how she can be very upfront about that, and then you can see, and then the next generation, there are certain behaviors that they do as well. You kind of the
Mm.
same mentality, but like you said, it's a lot more
Mm.
subtle. So to them, they know it's not right, but it's just something that's been automatically
Yeah.
instilled in them,
Yeah.
kind of thing. I don't know. Whereas for us, I think um we I don't know, like our generation seems to be the one that's breaking a lot of generational curses. So I don't know why ours is
Mm.
different, but for me, like it's different because I experienced the back
Mm.
end of it, and I wouldn't want that, someone else,
Yeah.
treated that way. But yeah,
I think that's I agree with it because like I said, when because I was on the other side of it, I hated seeing it. But then I also felt really helpless because I'm
yeah,
like, what can I do to make them not do that to like my other loved one? But like I literally couldn't do anything because not only am I
yeah,
like, still a kid, but also like I can't change how we look. Like like it's and I also look at
yeah,
it like you
yeah,
guys can't change how you look. And I think what was upsetting as well is that they lacked confidence within themselves too based on how they looked and how they were treated.
mm,
I think and then that's what made me more like, well then how can you do that too? Like I understand it's a generational thing, like it's just it's engraved in them, and it's it's not intentional, like they're not going out of their way to be hurtful. But I think you
yeah,
still know when you're sort of, especially to a kid, like you shouldn't say things to a
yeah,
kid um because it, like you said, it just traumatizes them. It makes them, lack self-esteem and everything like that. So I think that's what I hate. I think you saying that you don't want anyone to be treated because you know what it feels like. I don't know what it feels like. I didn't know how it felt because I didn't get it, but I knew I didn't want it for someone else. And I think that's why
Mm,
our generation's different, because we think differently now, as opposed to, like, the generations before us and
yeah.
before that. We look at other people and how it might affect them or how it might hurt someone, especially if it would hurt us. So we think, okay, I wouldn't like it, so I
Yeah.
better not do it to someone else. Whereas I think because of,
Yeah.
generations before us, it didn't hurt anyone. Like, I'm not saying we're super, super soft now, because sometimes we also get that reputation where it's like, oh, this generation, they're so soft. They're so, you can't say anything to them because they get
Mm,
butthurt or they get upset, or, they take it the wrong way.
yeah.
I think there's,
Yeah.
there's a line. There's a line between being soft, and then there's a line between doing what's right. And I think if you can't understand that, or if it's blurred for you,
Mm,
then uh, you need to do a bit more research or dig deeper to understand it.
yeah.
Because, like you said, our family are
100%.
a family of roasters. We roast each other on everything, but it was never about,
Mm-hmm.
like, even though we would say, you said Whoopi Goldberg, or, we would say that, but we knew what's it called. Our sort of level of roasting wasn't aimed at hurting, I guess. That's just what I think. Maybe I'm wrong. Like, but I feel like our level of roasting was just, we understood that we're just joking, and so maybe that's why the generations before us think they didn't mean any harm by it.
Yeah. Um, I think for like just the fact that, the way we
Mm,
roasted was it stemmed
right.
from, what our parents
Yeah.
sort of see and what our grandparents sort of see. So like if there was none of that sort of, separation
Mhm.
between darker skin and fairer skin, and we didn't know
Yeah.
that as kids, we wouldn't even come up with,
Right.
oh, Whoopi Goldberg, oh, Don Cheadle, like, and it was
So,
yeah, like, we wouldn't have
mm,
come up with that. We wouldn't have associated that,
yeah.
black skin or dark skin
Yeah.
is bad, is
Yeah.
looked down on. But that's um and I'm not saying it's their
Mm,
fault. I'm saying it's just a generational thing that's been passed down since the times when, um, people were
yeah.
working in the fields. And your economic status is
Mm.
based on um your skin color. I also heard this other story um about Captain Cook. Do you know how Captain Cook died?
I think I've heard something.
So he went to he went to Hawaii, and it was during a time that they were celebrating some it was a god Lono, and when he landed on their shores, they had never seen a white skinned person before. So to them, they thought he was a god, and because they're celebrating that month, this god Lono, they thought he was an
Yeah.
reincarnation of Lono because they had never seen a white person before. Um, yeah, so when he came in, like they treated him like, basically they treated
Mm.
him like a god, and they gave him, everything, blah blah blah. Anyway, the guy went, he left, and so, to the Hawaiians, like, oh yeah, that now that ritual or traditional period has, like,
Yeah.
ceremony has ended, so now he's gone. So they didn't think anything of it after that. They were all like, happy that they saw, the god and blah blah. And then this guy come, like, something happened to his ship and he came back. He came back to Hawaii. And there are some accounts that say that when he came back to Hawaii. Now that confused the people, because it's like, wait, like, in the ancient prophecies, like, they
Yeah.
don't come back. Like they're only around during that
Mm.
ceremonial time or something like that. So when he came back, then that's when they realized this guy ain't no god, and then they killed him. They
Yeah.
killed Captain Cook. But it was just an interesting story because even that is based on
Mm.
skin color and how white people like straight away were seemed as were like
Yeah.
deemed as gods because no one had ever seen a fair skinned
Mm.
person before. So and that was like
But I
way back in the
that
day.
you're actually right, cuz, because you know how you said when like, when they see a white person, they automatically think, they're someone of high stature, and they're like, super important, and they're super, godly or whatever. But then when, a white person first saw, someone of color, they deemed them as, ugly, and, an animal, or yeah. So like, how
Savages. Mhm.
do you come to that sort of conclusion though? Like, how do you decide that's what, a person looks like? That's how, you perceive them as. They're, this person's of low status and they're ugly, and the white guy is a god.
Yeah, yeah. And I think there's like multiple factors of where it all stems from, like including like
Mhm.
colonization as well. And actually having like white people
Yeah.
take over the islands. So that always also shows like that Westerners who were predominantly, they were all white, colonized these islands, and they were
Mm.
of power. Um, and then so that might be another factor as well. So like every time you look at like fairer skin or white skin, it's always associated with power and with high status,
Mm.
high income status as well. But then the darker skinned people are just like yeah, like you said, looked at as
Mm.
low status. um and it's really sad because you could have a very attractive dark skinned person, but just because of the skin color, people think that it's
Mm-hmm.
just they're ugly. Like, yeah. Not to mention
Can I
like,
ask you something? Oh, sorry.
yeah,
I was just gonna ask. When you see other islanders who are not fair, were you treated differently by them too?
like other darker skinned islanders.
For me, I don't know if it was because I'm fair, but I still get it to this day. Like, it happened, at work. But when other islanders, mainly women, when I smile at them, they just give me this ugly look.
True. I
Like,
don't do that, but
and
I've
I'm not
seen that.
sure if it's because, yeah, and I'm not sure if it is because I am fairer than them.
Mm,
I don't know if that's why I get that, because I thought it was just me. I thought it was all in my head and everything. But I've had friends who were with me, and they would see it. They just, like, they saw me smile at them, and then they would give me, like, a not very nice look back, and they were like, "Father, we really don't like you. What did you do?" And I don't know them. I automatically smile at most people, and
mm,
I automatically smile more towards people who look like me, because I'm like, "Oh my gosh, someone who looks like me."
yeah.
I smile at them, but then when I don't get the same, like when it's not reciprocated, it sort of messes with me, because I'm like, what did I do to you? Like, I haven't done anything to you, kind of thing. Like, I was just being friendly. But now I think that might be a reason. I don't know if that's accurate. Like, I'm just assuming. But do
Yeah.
you get treated like, when you smile at an islander? Do they smile back at you?
Um, Trying to think of when I smiled at someone. Nah. Nah.
You just
Um,
sitting there like,
nah. Most times, yes, I do. But I also think some islanders are just intimidated by someone that's nice. Like,
oh, that might be it then. Yeah, okay, all right, that might be it.
um, Nah, but I get what you're saying, and I've seen that too. Like 100%
Mm,
true that they would discriminate against fairer skinned people as well. A lot of times, why half castes as well get cop like they
mm,
cop shit.
yeah.
And it's jealousy. Like the root cause is jealousy. But like at the same time, they would have had to, gone like gone through that sort of trauma where they're looked down on, they're shit on just because they're darker skinned. So, some people when they project their own hurt, then
Mm.
they um I don't know if they realize it or not, but they automatically hate on, the person that gets everything or the person that's treated better. Um
Yeah.
and yeah, I've seen that as well. I had an experience where I went to Samoa and my
Mm.
cousin went too, and she's a lot fairer than I am. And
Yeah,
when
me
we went
too.
to Samoa, she
Mm.
picked up a lot, like picked up as in she attracted a lot of guys. Um,
Mm.
than I did. Everyone loved her. Like she was, because she was so fair. Just
Mm.
everyone was just so, like she was just so beautiful. In the island. So yeah, I had that experience as well in Samoa.
Yeah.
And
Jeez.
seeing how even my auntie's fair as well, and
Mm.
everyone said that she was the most beautiful woman in the island, in the village,
Mm.
sorry, because she's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very, very strong over there, which is weird because you have a population that are dark skinned because you're in the islands,
Yeah.
you're in the
Yeah.
sun.
Mm.
So why they would treat fairer people as if they're like so beautiful? Well, I guess it's the
Mm.
rarity of it, isn't it? Like
Yes.
they rarely
That's
see
very
a
common.
fair skin.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. So when they do, it's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty.
But it's not even just us. Like I've seen it, like it's a big thing with Asians too.
Mm.
Um, like I don't know if you've noticed, cause like, have you seen Asians where they, even if it's sunny, they're walking around with umbrellas?
Yep.
Um, or a lot of, yeah, wearing long sleeves, like I did, but I was like, that was trauma. But theirs is they legit don't want to tan.
Yeah.
Like they hide away from the sun because they don't want, they're so terrified to get darker, because in their
Mm.
society, like, if you're even just a little bit dark,
Yeah.
you're not attractive. I don't
Mm.
know if that might be another reason why they, paint, not paint, like their makeup is like very pale.
Yeah.
Even out like geishas as well,
Mm.
and like they're already white, but they put white powder on
Yeah.
top,
Put even more
just to,
white on them.
yeah, to like, yeah, it's, I think it's a common thing with colonized countries. I reckon. I don't know if that's the
Yeah.
thing, but yeah.
I feel like you're right though, because with white people, this is just me guessing. Don't they find the ones who are a bit, olive skin or a little bit more tan? Don't they find them like pretty attractive? Because I don't know white people who think the whitest person in the world is super super attractive. They usually like find other other
Yeah,
people who
good
are
point.
you know. So it's really confusing to me because I'm like, okay, so is there like a chart that you can tell us
Yeah,
where the
actually.
beauty is, and then when it like ends, kind of thing? Is that what it is? Like, it's just I don't understand.
Nah, yeah, you've got to, yeah, that you just touched on a good point there as well, because like even back in the day, in during World Wars, um when they used to, go over to the islands, a lot of those men were after our women.
Mm,
And there are some written accounts where they were like they'd never seen, women like that, just with their breasts out and everything.
yeah, exotic
um a-
looking.
yeah, yeah, exotic looking, like bronze, tan skin, dark skin, whatever. They were so attracted to that. And
Yeah,
this is why we have a high population of Afroasians.
yeah. We have so
This is
many
why,
difficulties.
Yeah, it's like it's very common to find islanders with what do you call it, German blood, British blood, like Japanese even.
Mm,
um but yeah, that might be the thing, eh? That might be like
mm.
whatever is rare and you're not used to or you never seen before, you automatically are attracted to it.
Yeah, because I
And
think it's the
you
same with. Oh, sorry, cuz.
no, no, you're all right.
No, I was gonna say, is that why our people, like islanders, are attracted to like people who don't look like us?
Mm.
Because I've
Well,
noticed as
personally,
well,
it's big.
like,
Yeah.
'cause, like a lot of them haven't seen, these sort of people before. Well, not as you don't grow up seeing many. Like I'm pretty
Mm.
sure you and I, we barely grew up with Balangis, even though we go to school and we see them, and there's so many of them around. School was only what 6 hours a day, and I know it's a lot of hours, and you do it 5 times a week. But the majority of the time, you're at home. You don't go anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't go anywhere. So
Um.
the only people we interact with is our siblings and our cousins and stuff. So is that why there's so many like Balangi men who go for island women, or so many Balangi women who go for the island men?
Yeah. Yeah. Um. I remember in high school, I was attracted to islanders. Mm,
Yeah.
because to me, and I don't know if it stemmed from like how paranoid I am about my skin color. I
Yeah.
thought the only people that would find me attractive are people of the same color,
Okay.
because I thought I was like, again, like that mentality that darker skin is lower status. So I never ever thought that anyone that was fair skinned would be attracted to me because I was dark.
Okay.
Um, but when I got older, I think it was only when like I hit my adult years that I started um actually being attracted to other nationalities as
Mm.
well. But also, like, I was scared that if I did end up with an islander, I would be related.
That's always what we're scared of.
um, yeah. But nah, I've been attracted to them only because I thought they would be the only people that would find me attractive. But no one of fair skin would look at me, like, would ever do a double take and look at me because I'm dark. Straight away, they wouldn't. That's what I believed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
but
it's all. Sorry, Chris, what were you saying?
yeah, but but I have seen a lot of especially in high school, so many white girls, so many like other nationalities, like Spanish, especially like Latinas, were very attracted to islanders.
Mm.
Yeah, and like you know there were a lot of and they loved that, like,
Yeah.
and yeah, so they were I don't know if it's because these women were attracted to them that they felt confident and they didn't look back at any islander girl, but now
Mm.
that they were more attracted to fairer women. It's almost like a it's gonna sound really harsh, but
Hit
to
me.
me, I looked at it like in high school, I looked at it like those islanders that only went for girls that were of other nationalities, especially white girls or Latinas.
Yeah.
I thought they were just looking for a trophy girl,
Mm.
that because they're fairer,
Yeah.
they're Spanish or whatever, South American, whatever. That they were like, yeah, I'm top shit because I'm with a white person or with a
Yeah.
fair person. That's like, I'm being honest, that's how I looked at it
Yeah.
back then. But it's not the case. Like now, I'm not even with an islander. I'm with pretty much a fair skinned person. And like I don't look at him. I don't notice skin color with him.
Mm.
Like, yeah.
Well, that makes sense. because my brothers were like that. They were very attracted to, well, not all of them, but there were cases where they're attracted to more of the fairer skin or balangi, type of women,
Mm,
um, and it wasn't a race thing. Like, some of them can be like. I've asked my brothers sometimes. I'm like, "What's wrong with an island girl?" Like, you've got sisters, you've got cousins, you've got mums, and then I realized that's not a great example. And
yeah.
they're like, I think in their heads they're thinking, well, I don't want to date my sister. I don't want to date my cousin, or someone like who reminds
Mm,
me of my sister or anything like that. I want to date someone who's different. But it wasn't the case. I don't think that's. I think for them, my brother explained to me, it's just a preference. Like, he's attracted to who he's attracted to. It's not about
mm,
like what he sees, like whether they're an island girl or an Asian girl, or he's just attracted more towards a girl who's a Balangi girl.
yeah.
So
Yeah. Like true. Like uh, you know, um, I think like when I'll be brutally honest, I think subconsciously as well for the ones that were picked on because of their darker skin, a part of them um a part of them subconsciously would have looked ahead as well. So if they had picked a fairer skinned person, the chances that your kid would be fairer, would be higher. You know what I mean?
mm,
So like and I can say this honestly, there was a part of me that was worried that my kid was going to be dark.
no,
Yeah, and it was um because of all the shit that like
yeah,
I had to go through
and
because
you
of
don't
my
your kid.
skin color. So
Mm,
I was like, oh well, like because Rob's white,
yeah,
there's a good chance that he won't be, which is
yeah,
sad. Like, but I'm being straight up. Like a
mm,
little part of my subconscious that was like
but you're like sort of
what I was
fearing.
hoping for.
Mm,
Yeah, yeah. But then I was like, um, obviously I realized that was like a stupid thing to think about, but you can't help it. Like that's
yeah,
something that's in the back of your brain that just like did pop up, and obviously like pushed it back down. But like for someone that's gone through that experience, they do think that. They do think that, and some of them might look at like they might not even know it. It's not intentional, but
yeah,
subconsciously might be another reason why they would a lot of darker skin islanders or Asians would go for someone that's a lot fairer because they know well when their kid comes out it'll be a lot fairer,
mm.
so they wouldn't have to go through the shit that they went through.
That makes sense, Kaz, because I never thought of that. Like when I was pregnant, I never thought like I hope she doesn't come out dark, or I hope she doesn't I hope she comes out fair skinned or whatever. That never ever was something, and I think you're right because like you said, it's something that was you grew up with, and it's in the back of your head, and it comes out, and it's not coming out in a hurtful kind of way. It's just when you're pregnant, you fear a lot
It's
of
just it's
things.
there.
Yeah, and then like one of those
Yeah,
things could be what your baby's going to look like and what they're going to cop when they come out, and to avoid that, you're hoping to make their life easier. This is one of the features that they have, so it does make their life easier, kind of thing. Because I for real
yeah.
never thought about that, but now I'm like, oh, you poor thing. you feel like you feel worried, and I'm just like, yeah, that wasn't one of the things I ever thought about. So it's good that you're bringing this to light because it's probably what other people are going through as well, especially Islanders, man. Because Islanders are savage.
Yeah, yeah,
Like with
yeah.
our roasting and with
That's
our comments and stuff, we are quite savage.
yeah, yeah. And I think we're even more savage when we're hurt.
Yeah.
We're very brutal
Mm-hmm.
when we're hurt. And I've seen I
Sorry.
um I do know of one other that thought exactly the same thing about kids.
Yeah.
And I've heard them say, oh, I hope they're not my color. I hope they're not dark like me. Um, when their missus was pregnant.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of that
Yeah.
hurt that's just sitting there, and you can't help thinking that way because you always relate it to your own. Especially when you become a parent, automatic thing is to be protective,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, because of our trauma, that's where it stems from, and that's where, you know, what do you call it? Unintentionally, we discriminate as well.
Yeah. Like, I'm not going to act like I haven't
To
seen.
protect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn, yeah. I didn't expect that one to go a bit longer than
Yeah, me
normal.
too. I was like, oh, okay.
But I think that like, so that we covered you know, the stereotype of skin, or stigma around, you know, our skin color, but I also wanted to touch on hair. They're like, why are we ashamed of our natural, you know, curly hair?
Mine's a bit different. I was born with like thin as hair, like it's still thick as in
Mm,
like heaps of it, but I was born with super
yeah,
fine hair, super straight hair, super like it was just really nice. It doesn't look
yeah.
like that now because I've obviously fried it with straightening it. And back then we didn't have a straightener. We used to use an iron. I'm not ashamed of
We had
that
to be
because
skillful.
yes, and sometimes
Like,
you'd use two, so you're just like, oh man, what we used to go through. Well, I recently had to use it because
or you iron someone else's hair.
yes, or you make them lie on the the sheet, and you're just like,
The towel.
oh man, we were so hot.
I swear, there's been a few times in my life where I've had like triangle burns on my skin.
Mine was always like on my neck, like the back, so like I'd always make sure my hair's like down, so no one can tell. Whatever, man. I had to do it recently because my straightener broke and I did get burned. So it's fine. It's if anything, it's quicker. It's just more dangerous because obviously it's not
Yeah.
it's just bigger and the oddly shaped. So because it's not meant for hair, it's meant to only your clothes. But yeah, so sorry. So like I was saying, I had really fine hair, really nice hair. Mum loved my hair, but I cut it. I used to cut it and dye it and straighten it and do all this stuff to it. So now it's not. My mum says it all the time. She's really upset at all of us actually because our sisters did so much to our hair that we ruined it. Like unless we shave it all
Mm,
off and then it grows back, but even then, I don't think it's going to grow up. Grow up. It's not going to grow the way it did when I was a kid. And the reason why I
mm,
did that was
yeah.
because I loved everyone around me had nice curly hair or frizzy hair. So like my mom's, my
Oh, so you used to
aunties,
curl
I
it.
used to try and like make it puffy. Like I wanted it big like my mom's hair. I wanted it big like auntie's hair. I wanted it like, even grandma's hair. I
Wow.
loved like the thickness of it and, the frizziness. Even your hair, I
Wow.
used to be so jealous of your hair. Because you would
I
do
was
this,
so jealous of your
well, I
hair.
used to be so, you would do this cool little thing with the front fringe bit with the curls and then put your hair up and then it's all curly and like, I used to think it was so beautiful. I was like, oh my gosh, she looks like a princess. And we had this flat edge between
Wow.
straight hair. I hated it. I was like, I want to look like my cousin. I want to
Wow.
look like my mom. Because when mom hated her hair, but when she would take it out, it was so frizzy and so curly. I was like, I want her hair. So that's why I did it.
Wow.
I used to be like, I want to be like that. I don't look like them. Even our cousins would have, quite, frizzy hair too. And yeah, so I just felt really sort of excluded from that. I was like, most of the women in my family have that type of hair. And we took after our dad's side. They have very thin, fine hair. But because we
Mm,
spent the majority of our time with our mum's family, your mum, my mum, their sisters. So like we spent the majority of the time on our mum's side of the family. My hair didn't look like that.
yeah.
I didn't like it.
Fetch. And it's like, that's so, like, it's so weird to hear you say that,
Mm,
because we all, like, I'm pretty sure everyone that you well, every one of us with frizzy hair were dying for your hair.
yeah. Have you got
Which is why we were able to sacrifice our skin with the iron.
Like one for the team for the iron. Nah, I hated it. I used to be like when we would go to church together and you do your hair all nice and pretty. I used to be like, I want to do it like Julia's hair, and then I'll try and get mum to do it, and mum's like, you get two pigtails. Like this, and then I'll try and filly it. So I'll try and braid it or plait it so that you wake up the next morning and it's some sort of curl, like there's some sort of volume in it. But yeah, I really wanted to look like you guys. I think because I
Wow.
was already like, I'm already fair and I get treated differently. I want the same hair. Give me the hair.
Oh my goodness. And it's so funny because like um not only are you fair, you had straight hair,
Yeah,
like you had everything that we would have killed for. And it's that westernized look. You know, the straight hair, fair skin. I hated my hair growing up. Um and even in school, like, you know, kids used to mock my hair and say that I had horse's hair or something like
what
that.
the hell?
Um, yeah, yeah. And so like even at a young age, I already knew, like, you know, my hair is not normal.
Yeah,
So I used to try and straighten it
yeah,
like all the time. And it was just so that I could fit in and that nobody would comment on my hair because um like, you know, but I realized that, like, regardless whether I straighten it or whether it's like, you know, frizzy, I still get comments.
yeah.
But it wasn't until, because this was the time before hair straighteners came, like, were a thing.
Mm,
So we didn't have hair straighteners back then, and so we did use the iron, and the best way to use the iron is to use baby oil. Is to put baby oil on your hair, and then you know, iron
yeah,
it. That was the only way to get it sort of
yeah.
sleek.
And shiny.
But then, yeah, but the result ended up being like, you know, yeah, dead straight hair, but it's oily as
Yeah,
fuck. So I don't know if that gave away that's what, you know, people like Balangis called horse's hair,
yeah,
but back then that was like, you know, the closest we can get it to normal
yeah,
hair. um and yeah. So when the straightener came out, oh my gosh, that was a
yeah.
godsend. And then I remember, um I honest, like, I would straighten my hair almost every
Mm,
day, or like not every day, but I'd straighten it and then keep it in for a few days. Sometimes I would not wash my
yeah,
hair because I was so scared of, like, you know, getting caught out. So like if I washed my hair and then, you know, I didn't have time to straighten it, I have to go like
yeah,
that. So like sometimes I go a long period without washing my hair, which is, you know, disgusting. But yeah, and then back and then with the hair straightener, because now it's more
yeah,
convenient, then I started to, you know, I would straighten my hair, and then 2 days later I would wash my hair,
mhm,
and then I straighten it straight
yeah,
after. Especially when you get the wet and dry ones, the hair
yeah.
straightener where you can actually straighten
While
your
it's wet.
hair while it's
Hmm.
wet. um, but yeah, I was always so, but you know, I was actually born with straight hair.
Yeah,
Um, it wasn't until I hit my teens that my hair went frizzy and
yeah,
thick, and that was because of my PCOS.
yeah.
I didn't realize that until later,
Mm.
until I got older. And I was like, oh, so that's what happened to my hair.
Mm.
Because I used to have, like, I used to have beautiful hair, but I also remember back then when I was about 6, um I wanted curly hair.
Yeah.
It's so, like,
It's so
bizarre
confusing.
how,
I think you just want what you
yeah.
can't have. That's what
I
the thing
asked
is.
um I asked Rob last night whether he um my straight preferred my hair straight or natural. I want to
Yeah.
say curly because there's no curls, it's just frizz. um and he said straight, but I'll tell you why.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. But it's not because of how it looks.
Yeah.
He said he loves it when it's straight because of the way I carry myself. So apparently
Oh,
apparently I'm
I
more
love that.
confident after I've
Okay.
straightened it. I never realized that, but yeah. And I'm
He's
not
right
as
there.
insecure when my hair is straight.
He's actually really right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's sweet. That just shows how much he notices about you. You know what I mean? And it's not even a
Yeah.
vain thing. Like he's like, oh, I prefer you like this because of what you look like. It's literally because of how you carry yourself. That's so sweet.
But it just shows that that's the standards and the limitations that we put on ourselves
Yeah.
are why we have, these stigmas or why we
Hmm.
have these stereotypes.
Yeah.
Um, but if we like if we actually embraced it's just if we had confidence in ourselves, it doesn't matter how we look.
Yeah.
Light,
I
dark, straight, curly. Yeah. It was actually it was interesting to hear that
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 is
response.
interesting
Yeah.
because most people are like, oh, I love your natural hair, or I like it when it's the real you kind of thing. But he actually, that's really sweet. I love Rob.
um, I wanted to uh move. I wanted to talk about, if we're going to talk about beauty,
Hmm.
fat shaming.
Ugh.
Fat shaming within our own culture. Um, and I know that, like, I figured that was because I did want to talk about fat shaming, but I didn't know where I was going to talk about it. But I like, it does play a big part in our beauty standards as islanders, or as people in general. But I wanted to be more specific with fat shaming within our own culture.
Mm.
Um, what are your thoughts about that?
I'm going to be very upfront, and I don't think it's going to be taken very well. I'm trying to think of a way to say this. Okay.
No, just say it how it is.
The majority of our people are of like, obviously we're all different shapes and sizes, but most people think, or see that the majority of us are obviously thicker than
Hmm.
the average woman who's specifically other cultures and other ethnicities. They're smaller or slimmer, or but there's a certain thickness that I think us island girls have, or island people have, that's noticeably different to other people. The reason
Mm.
why I'm saying this is because even though we know this, there's still fat shaming. So even though there's, majority of us look, we're thicker, we have bigger thighs, we have, we do have tummies, we do, we're broader, like, even our men, like, they're bigger. Even though we know that's how we're shaped, that's how we look, there's still so much that's, where people put down people who are bigger. So
Yeah.
like fat shaming, the word like water was just, by the time I got to like my teen years, my 20s, it was like redundant because you just hear it all the time. You
Yeah.
hear it's the color, it's the color you hear all the time, and the weight. That's the main two things I remember growing up, like hearing. And it's sad because it's like no one can really help how they look.
Mm.
Like I obviously know, if you continually eat, really bad things, and you don't do anything about looking after your health and everything, that's different. But I think regardless of whether that's the issue, or you're just this size because you're born that size, there was a lot of that growing up, like even in our families, in churches, in our community. It's still something that's really apparent in our culture.
Yeah.
But I still don't get it because I'm like, we all know that's what we're built like. That's
Yeah.
just, we're built different. But we still have the audacity to shame.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think, guys?
Um, I think, like, um, There's definitely like a thing we grew up with as well. Like exactly like you said, it was skin and fat, and I had
Yeah.
both ends of the.
Oh, my poor cuz.
But what I don't like, I don't understand with our elders, right? Yeah, like I get this all the
Hmm.
time. I don't know if you've seen or you know, I've seen a lot of posts where they say it's a common thing as well. But our elders, like, they can go on and on about how big you are, lose weight, go train, you know, eat less.
I hate it.
Um,
Yeah.
but then when you actually do lose the weight, then we get asked,
Yeah.
like, you know, are you sick? And they're like, you know, make sure you eat more. Like, I don't
Yeah.
understand. Like, like,
Yeah.
what do you want from me? Skinny or? And
No,
it's
you're
like,
right, but it's never even a compliment when you do lose the weight. Like, good on you. You know, you
yeah,
worked really hard. You know, did all that kulingi,
it's like, I don't
and then you
know.
just tell them to clap back with music.
It's like, I don't know what's the perfect weight in their or body in their mind. Like,
You know,
I'm
tight for
so
the skin tone
curious.
and a tight for the one size.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, exactly, it's like you need a chart just to you know,
Yeah.
where the hell do I fit if I'm, you know, if I'm
Mm.
skinny, or and I wouldn't even be skinny. I've never ever in my life been under, I'd say, oh, actually, besides when I was a kid, but that doesn't count. In my adult life, I've never been under 80 kilos. Never. So
Listen,
like 80 kilos for me is like, it's I would say size 12.
you look like a kid.
Size 12.
Yeah,
Um in a Balangi world or in a Senga world, that is plus size. You know what I mean?
it is.
In an Islander
Mm.
world, that is skinny. That is too skinny
Yeah,
and you need to eat more. Why do you look sick? Like, who's not feeding you? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I would love to see a chart where these, like, show me what is the perfect weight for you, because in the Balangi world, I'm still, you know, overweight, but over here I
yeah,
am very skinny. But then, you know,
yeah.
when you put on the weight, then you're just fat all over the place. You know what I mean? Like, all cultures.
You just have fat on your forehead.
Yeah, like, but like, I don't know. You know, another thing I was thinking about is that, you know, history. Um, it's you know, we used back in the day, and I don't know, not island. I'm not talking specifically, you know, island culture, but I think it was like, you know, Greece or French, like some
Mm.
European cultures back in the day. If you were fat, you were wealthy. That was a sign of wealth, because you had the money to eat. You know what I mean? You didn't like, and then the people who were poorer, like, they were a lot, they were slimmer, because, you know,
Yeah,
they had to work hard to get food, and then when they got food, it was like, you know, rationed. Um,
yeah,
so like, just comparing the mentality around skin color, how, like, you know, back in the day, the sign for you know, success was fairer skin, and you can
mm.
see that same mentality now. But back in the
Yeah.
day, in, you know, say for example, European countries, the sign for wealth was like if you were fat.
To be big.
How come that didn't continue down to this generation? How come that
What
wasn't
was being
normalized?
fat? I know, because it's all about, you know, who looks the skinniest now. It's everywhere in magazines. You know, how to lose like five kilos in like a week. Like, it's everywhere. So you just see models everywhere. But there's nothing about the big people. How come that didn't?
But even that is confusing too, because like, if you look back in the 80s, the skinnier you were, you know, you were
Yeah.
like attractive. And then
Mm,
now, like, you know, even if you didn't have a butt, if you didn't have a butt, you were attractive. But then
mm,
now in our generation, in these time, like modern times, everyone wants curves. Like still be skinny, but have curves. Like
Yeah.
have a butt and boobs like all the bigger chicks, but still have a slim waist, slim thighs. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
so confusing.
Mm. But I
Um,
don't think there's ever going to be like a perfect body shape or
yeah,
perfect like way of looking. Like this, it's impossible. Everyone looks so different.
yeah, yeah. But it's like it is very common that I think we were the OG fat shamers, honestly.
The OG like roasters. That's why.
Yeah.
Like I don't know anyone else who roasts the way we. I don't even know other people who roast. Like they don't even do that. And then like my friends were telling me they didn't even know that there was such thing called roast. You know, they were like, is that a Kiwi thing? Is that an island thing? And then I'm like, no, it's a generational thing where we mock.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it's
Like
just
I get
we're
it.
that used to it.
Yeah. But like yeah, I get it. We love our food.
Mm,
Like a lot of us like and I'm not saying that, like cuz I think I've seen this with a lot of white people that are overweight that they say, regardless of your health, they will say, but that's me, this is who I am, accept me for, who I am and blah blah.
yeah.
I also like um disagree with that as well. Like I
Mm,
don't have a perfect body. I'm overweight as well, but I also know that that was my choice. I chose to, like eat excessively, and like, that's the reason why. But a lot of people are trying to be ignorant to that this is the
mm,
reason why, they're fat.
yeah.
And so to counter any fat shamers, they're also trying to like say we need to normalize it. How do you feel about that? Do you think that fat um body shape should be normalized?
I'm trying to think of how to word this. I don't think it's. Oh, fuck, this is hard.
Sorry, I think we've just
No,
gone
no,
into everything.
no. It's good. It's really good because it's stuff that needs to be talked about, and I agree with it. I'm just looking at it like it's. I am really positive about people on how they look and what they want to look like and things like that. My issue though is when it like gets to the borderline where it's affecting your health.
Mm,
That's where I don't agree. I don't agree with making it normalizing it. Like I'm not gonna promote something that makes you sick
yeah,
or makes you
yeah,
unwell or causes you to be hospitalized or that's not what I'm saying. I agree that everyone's built different, everyone's got a different shape, everyone's got we all look different. That's what I'm positive of, to an extent, and the extent is it doesn't reach to a point where you're gonna die,
yeah,
because you're not looking after yourself. That I don't think should be normalized. I don't think this is me, accept me for who I am. That sort of attitude can't really
yeah,
be applied to something where it's life and death, because
yeah,
I'm going to accept something that's going to cause you to die sooner than you should. Like I
yeah.
want all of us to live till we're like 80, 100 or whatever. But if you're
Mm,
not going to reach that because you're being ignorant or you're trying to plaster it with this whole this is me kind of a concept, that's not what I'm in support of. I want everyone to do it where it's like sort of healthy. Just like when you're skinny, I'm not gonna like if you're gonna lose the weight, that's great. I promote that too. I'm all for it. But if it gets to a point where you're gonna get really sick, or it leads to different
mm,
disorders or different that's where I'm like, that's not you. Where you use
yeah,
this whole thing to be like, this is me, accept me for who I am. That's a disorder. That's not what That's completely different to how you look and how you feel. If you're healthy, then go for it, go for gold. But if you're using that as an excuse to not to not do something about your health or anything like that, that's when I'm like, nah, I'm all right. What do
yeah,
you think?
yeah. I 100% agree. I like. I think that it shouldn't be normalized.
Mm.
Because yeah, exactly what you said. Like, when it comes to your health, like, and like, I can't normalize something. It's like suicide. Like, if you
Yeah.
normalize that, you're pretty much giving them the allowing them to sort of eat themselves to death in a way.
Mm.
Like, I get it, like, it's hard, but I don't think we should normalize it because you're too afraid to do what's necessary for yourself to benefit yourself.
Absolutely.
Like,
Yeah.
it's an excuse.
Mm-hmm.
um and I'm realizing a lot, and especially with for example, Lizzo. um
Yes.
and you see, yeah, I absolutely love her confidence, like shaking, she's basically shaking, like, I see, in her Instagram post, she just, like, her big ass, like, all over my Insta feed. But, like, and I love that, she's confident. But
Yeah.
I don't think it should be something that you would promote to younger kids, that, like, it's okay to be you know big, and not look after your health.
Mm.
But, like, for example, one person that I love, and she's plus size,
Oh
Ashley
yes.
Graham. I
Yeah.
love, she's like, to me, that's the most beautiful woman, like,
Yeah.
um
Stunning.
she's a plus size,
Mm.
and but she works out.
Yeah.
She works out a lot. But she's still, like, she's still plus size.
Mm.
And, like, some people, it doesn't, like, even though you work so hard on losing weight, sometimes
Yeah.
you're still plus size, the result is a plus size. But that kind of, like, her body and the way she lives her life, I love that. Whereas Lizzo, for me, it's like, she promotes, like, your health isn't important, embrace who you are, but don't worry about your health, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas then I look at Ashley Graham, and she's like, she'll work out, she'll eat well, blah blah blah. She's just big, like, she's just curvy.
Yeah.
But and at the same time, she's got that confidence as well. But I
Mm.
like, yeah, there's a like, for me, there's a difference. I think if you normalize not looking after or prioritizing your health,
Mm.
then that's dangerous,
Yeah.
especially for younger kids.
Mm-hmm.
um yeah. um like, yeah. I've just seen a lot of, especially because my brothers, for some reason, always show me these videos that are triggering.
Oh.
So they'll show me where, like, there's a full on table debate, or, like, de- like, women, big, like, obese, sorry, not big, obese women
Yeah.
coming out and saying, we should normalize this,
Mm.
normalize obesity, normalize that,
I agree with that.
this is who they are.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of sort of back and forth and blah blah. But yeah, I don't think that should be something that should be normalized,
Mm.
especially obesity.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're a little bit overweight, well, like, I'm a little bit overweight. Well, actually, I'm a lot overweight, but I'm okay with that. But at the same, but if to me, I'll at least, when I know if I'm heading towards obesity, it's like, that's the breaking point. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I should be doing something now. I realize, I know, like, within me, that I need to do something now to get my health in order. But I like that point, obesity, that's scary for me.
Yeah. No, I
Um,
agree. Like I don't think there are certain things that you can normalize. Like for me, normalizing our skin tone, that doesn't affect our health. It just that should be normalized. Like no matter what color you are, it's everyone's just that's what our colors are. But I think again, like we said, when it comes to obesity and your weight, if it gets to the borderline dangerous side, then yeah, nah, that can't be normalized.
yeah, yeah,
mm.
and it would be hard to witness someone as well going through it. I would, it would break my heart if, like, I see my kids, like that, like,
Yeah.
because it's a hard life. It
Mm.
is really a hard life, and what I want for my kids is, an abundance of energy. And if, like, they are big, then it would limit them. But
Yeah.
then, do you think that that might be why our older generation fat shame us? Do you think that, like, for we would, like, for example, our generation would have a lot more softer approach if, our own kids were big, um or we'd, focus on their mental health and blah blah blah. But do you think that the generations before fat shame us in a way for us to do something about it? Like, they're being honest that, it's not acceptable.
Um, I think that is. I don't think they're saying it in a way to hurt us because growing up in an island family, it does hurt.
Yeah.
But that is not their
Oh,
intent. Like they even say it to you, they say it, ulealofa, which means, with love. When they say something that
yeah.
we take as hurtful, they say it like, I'm saying this because I love you.
Mm.
So I think, like you said, when we grew up, they would fat shame us, but they would say it in a way where that's how they communicate, hey, you're not looking your best. I'm concerned. Not even like looking your best, but like, health wise, in their own way, they're trying to say it in that way, like,
Yeah.
I'm concerned for you. Is everything all right? These are the steps that you need to do, like take to, avoid getting to the dangerous side of what could happen if you don't stop now. I think that's what they're
Mm.
trying to say. Their approach is very, very bad. I don't
Always.
I don't agree with the way they go about it. Definitely don't agree
Yeah.
with that. But I know because we're island girls that is how they communicate in their own way to try and get us to do something because they love us. It's always out of love,
Yeah.
and I think that's the mentality we grew up with. Our parents would burn us and really affect us, and then we would always tell ourselves that's their way of saying, do something about it because I love you. And that, I think that was the
Mm.
push we would need to get somewhere. And obviously it can be
Yeah.
taken differently too. Like, so, it's not always going to be the case where, a kid takes it the way I took it, where I'm like, okay, they're being like rude, but they're doing it because they love me. So I'm going to try and figure out some shit. Another kid could take it as, my mum is honestly the worst human, always putting me down, always saying all this stuff, always doing this and that. That's another way a kid can take it. So I feel like um, it's hard because, as like we keep saying, growing up in our sort of family environment, some of us can take it in a way like that, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's taken completely different. But it's never the kid's fault for their reaction. Like they can't help but react that way, especially with that
Yeah.
sort of an approach. So it's so hard. What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're 100%. It's based on perspective,
Mm,
how you take it.
yeah.
Like, I realize that, like, certain people in our family can be very savage and
Mhm.
very straight up. Um, and poor grandma, just gonna put her on blast in this episode.
I feel like she's the queen of.
But a lot of times,
Yeah.
grandma, would tell me straight up, oh, you're big. Look at your tummy. Look at, it looks like you're pregnant again.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I know grandma. Like, for me, as savage as her approach is, I know that the intention behind, is like, get your health in order,
Yeah.
like, um, or like, with my skin color, I'm still trying to figure the intention. But I don't know. For me, like, I know that's how grandma is,
Yeah.
and I accept that. I
Yeah.
take what, like, what I can apply,
Mm,
and I try and look at, the intention, or the best intentions
mm,
behind it,
yeah.
even if I'm kind of make it up sometimes.
Yeah.
But for me, like, yeah, grandma's, I love that she's very straight up.
I
I
do
know
too.
a lot of people um, don't take what she says very lightly.
Yeah.
And I see that with a lot of older grandmothers and mothers and aunties in island community, and they're just straight up with their words. And sometimes I notice when even like with fat shaming, um, it's the ones that are big themselves that would
Bro,
fat
that's
shame
why
you. You know what I
I'm
mean?
just like,
Like,
are you sure?
yeah, yeah. Especially when I have like like the if someone was to say galo fire so la puta, and I'm like, you ain't so skinny
Yes.
yourself. Like, how is that something you're confident
Yeah.
to
You're
say
like,
to someone
put
else
down by the
knowing you're
40,
not?
auntie.
Yeah. But like, I think the for me, I take it as it means that they care about my health, and that yes, like I realize I do need to do something. It's a reality check. Like, you don't want to be ignorant to any of that and then just accept that that's how your body's going to be, or
Yeah.
this, because a lot of us, when we don't have the will, when we don't have the discipline, we believe that this is just how we are and we can't do anything about it. But like everyone has that. I don't think, like we all have that ability to do it, to just do it. But it's our minds and how we look at things
Yeah.
and our perspective that will limit us. um and I can honestly say, like, I don't think anyone, if they were true to themselves, I don't think anyone is happy with being like that,
Mm.
with being big or overweight. I know a lot of us islanders, we make jokes about it. Like, I am very open with like mocking myself and then that, but in other people's minds, that might be like a oh, that's a defense mechanism. No, that's just how I am. Like, I've always been pretty straight up with myself,
Yeah.
but it's because so I know I can be accountable.
Yeah.
Because the worst thing that you could do is to pretend or throw it under the rug, that there's a problem,
Mm.
and then just go about getting, and then I just end up getting bigger and bigger and
Yeah.
bigger. Whereas if for me, that's how I cope.
Yeah.
It's like, I bring it, I'll keep talking about it and that, and then like, I know, so I know it's there. Like, it's something I need to focus on. I just need to find the
Yeah.
time.
Like, it's good because it's that sense of acknowledgement that you're putting to, like,
Yeah,
I know what I'm going to do. It may not be now, but I know what I need to do.
yeah. I'll tell you what though, like on Instagram, I'm finding a lot of islanders in the gym. I don't know if you've
Yes.
seen those videos. Like, it's
You
freaking
do. Yeah.
making me wanna like join the gym.
Yeah.
And
It's so
even,
good.
yeah, and I'm seeing a lot of islanders that are actually obese. Even in NZ they're
Yeah.
doing it, but a lot of islanders that are obese are actually in the gym working it out.
Yeah.
Like, that's just proof right there that when you have the will, like you go like and you don't give up, like it's just like it opens doors for you. And I'm
Yeah.
like, it's so like, I'm so proud seeing that. Every time I see that, it just, like, I don't know, I just feel very warm in my heart, like seeing them.
Mm.
And it motivates me to be like, they can do it. Why the hell are you not doing it? Like,
Yeah.
but they look at, like, I know some people we went to church with as well, that they're part of a program. I think it's called Beast Mode. They look
Yeah.
amazing. They look so amazing.
Ooh.
They've lost
Oh, that's so good.
yeah, yeah. And they look happy. Like, that's the thing
Yeah.
that, like, I think a lot of us don't look at, is that hard work, you put in the hard work, like, it just like so like it opens up a lot of doors, into other opportunities. Also, like, just your overall mental health improves.
Yeah.
And you just, that, but like, I'm so proud of them. They look so good and they're so happy, and yeah.
I'm gonna have a nosy after this.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. All right. The last question I had, is what do you think of the standard of beauty these days? And are you seeing that it's changing like now?
Beauty to me these days, and this is just me personally, like I have eyes. I can see someone who, is attractive, or, that you find more attractive than someone else. But my thing has always been like I know it's, corny ass, but my thing has always been like, if they're beautiful on the inside, it just
Mm,
makes them sort of glow on the outside. So
yeah.
regardless of what, you look like, if you're good inside, we can really get along. I get along so well with people like that. It's I'm not into the materialistic kind of things. It's never been. I don't think it's ever been something that any of us have been into, really.
Yeah.
Like, even though our brothers will, send us photos of the new shoes they got, or, the chain they got, or like my brother sometimes send, and I'm really proud of them. Like, those sorts of things are awesome. But I mean it like, beauty to me is like if they've got a good heart and they're kind, and that's what I want my kid to understand, that it's not about what's on the outside, because anyone can look super shiny and super pretty on the outside, but they could be rotten on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm trying to teach her. Because she's, she's still little and she's still trying to figure it out, and I can tell she's already got a crush on a boy in school, so we're pulling her out. I'm kidding. But yeah, so I think beauty to me is when you're healthy and you're happy, and you're shining on the outside, because you're all good on the inside. And I know a lot of us are damaged and have issues, and stuff on the inside and mentally that we're going through. um, but the physical side of things has, it's only a small part of a person,
Yeah.
to me. um, the standards these days, it's always going to be hard because of, what you see on social media, what you see online, what you see, these girls having surgery. Like, I was at work, and these girls who are beautiful girls were talking about how they're getting their facelifts and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful young girls, like younger than me, like early 20s. In my head, I was like, what the hell, why? And I would tell them, you don't need it. Like, you just don't. Why would you get it? Like, but that's up to them. Like, you can't
Yeah.
tell someone what to do with their own bodies and stuff like that. That sort of did make me a little bit angry, because it's just promoting, for these young girls to go out and, stick needles in their faces. And but that's
Mm-hmm.
always going to be, it's been in our lives since, before time, or before we were even born, I suppose. Stuff I see on social media, I'm not a fan of. Like, with girls doing that sort of stuff, because it's harmful. I think it's harmful. I think it's not good for their, their well-being, like, for their face, and because I don't think it's going to be effective when they're older. Like, isn't
Yeah.
their face going to sag, and like it's just, for me, it's not going to be good for them in the future, like long
Yeah.
term. But it's up to them. But yeah, standard of beauty is always going to be whatever's on, whatever's in right now, whatever's on, social media and everything like that. But I don't think it always has to be the case.
Yeah.
That was pretty much what I was trying to say. What about you, Cuz? What do you think of the standards these days?
Um, I think that for women, sorry, for women, and from a woman's perspective,
Yep.
um, I think we base a lot of our beauty standards off what men find attractive, or what we assume men find attractive.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day, when, like, m- all of us were all natural,
Yeah.
no one had, like, makeup wasn't a big thing, and if it was very light. Um,
Yeah.
Implants wasn't a big thing. What else? Like plumped up lips.
Yeah.
They
It's
weren't a
so in
big
right
thing. Yeah. But like a big butt wasn't a big thing. Like, but then, so for us that was, the natural look that we had, and blah blah. But men back in the day, um, or what women assumed men liked, were women that were all dolled up, ones that had big boobs, big ass, and all that. So now that, makeup and cosmetic surgery, all of that is now available, to, everyday women now. So everyone's getting it done because they want that look that, you know, men fantasized about before. But I'm finding now that, like, you know, now that everyday women you know, you don't see anyone outside without full on makeup, you know what I mean?
Mm,
Or like big lips or big boobs, like even young girls with big boobs. Um, I'm finding now men are now saying they want natural women.
mm,
You know what I mean? Like, I think we base our beauty standards so much of what we assume men like, or you know what men like. Um,
mm,
but like you said, you know, beauty should be confidence, should be, you know, how you see yourself. I mean, for like, you know, I brought up, you know, Rob's response to whether he preferred me with straight hair or curly hair, and you know, at the end of it all, it's the way I carry myself that's more
mm.
attractive.
Yeah.
And he's always said that. He says, like, you know, confident women are the most attractive women.
Mm,
And I think that's also because he also said that it was back in when I was in my 20s and very insecure, but he used to be very attracted to older women. So say for example we were in our 20s back then, he would be so attracted to like 40-year-olds or 30-year-olds. But I realized it's not because of how, it's not so much how they look. Yeah, some of those women are gorgeous, like what's her name, um Salma Hayek.
oh yeah.
Yeah, like, you know, they're in their 50s or whatever and still look amazing. But it wasn't because of how they looked. It was because of how they carried themselves. They were very, you know, because they're mature. They
Yeah.
don't give a shit about people. At that point, you don't give a shit about other people anymore. You just do your thing. You know, women are a lot more confident the older they get, or not confident, but more mature than you are when you're younger. Because when you're younger, you're still trying to figure out your identity, you're insecure,
Yeah.
and you know, through insecurities there's a lot of problems, there's jealousy and whatnot. So he says a lot of men find older women attractive because they don't care about any of that.
Yeah.
um but yeah, like, I think at the end of the day, beauty standards should be just about your you know, your
No, as a human.
confidence. Huh?
Mm-hmm. No,
Yeah,
I was
your
going to say just how you are
confidence.
as a human.
Yeah. How you carry yourself, your perspective as
Yeah.
well, what you take in, and you know how you sort of view yourself. And like, just be do the inner work. Do the inner work.
Yeah.
Um, fix what's in here. And like, that's beautiful. Like, once you fixed inside, once you've healed, it shows. It shows, and
Mm,
there's a different glow that you have about you after that. Um, like, I could honestly say that, yeah, I was a lot more slimmer back in, you know, my 20s. And everything was just so image focused, like my features, everything, my hair, focused so much on my hair, my makeup, everything. But I was still very insecure inside, and that showed.
yeah.
um and now that I'm older, yes, I'm, you know, on the bigger side of the scale. Yes, like, you know, I don't care about my appearance as much anymore. I don't put much effort into it anymore. But my, like, because I've healed, Rob says I'm a lot more attractive now because of the way I carry myself, because I'm confident and I
Yeah.
don't care about, like, I'm less insecure than I was before. um and yeah, like, I feel beautiful
You are beautiful,
now.
guys. Good. That's
um
really good.
but I think that's like something that everyone should be adopting, and it'll
That should be
change
normalized.
the, yeah, it'll change the stigma and the stereotypes, and the standard of beauty
Yeah.
these days. I don't quite see that yet. Be,
Mm,
the beauty standards now, I don't really see that, because I'm looking at the younger generation, so teenage girls. I can only speak for girls, women, sorry. when you look at the teenage girls and in the early 20s, like a lot of them are running to buy a whole bunch of makeup. You see a lot of the more of them in salons, getting their nails done.
Mm.
Eyelashes are a new thing now. Everything to look like Instagram models,
Yeah.
because they're exposed to social media and that. So to them, I'm seeing that their beauty standards are so high, and like I've got young sisters, and just seeing you know one of them so insecure about a lot of things, and she's still so young, and she's still got a long way to go. Body hasn't fully developed, and it just breaks my heart that that's still a thing that's happening. I
Mm.
think the main thing that we should all be normalizing is um, fixing your mind, fixing your
Yeah.
heal
Self
your
love.
whatever.
Mm.
Yeah. Um, be confident, and then after that you can do whatever you want with your beauty. Like when you
Yeah.
shine from the inside, then yeah, everything else extra like makeup, whatever, is a bonus. I'm not saying that it's not. I love wearing makeup when I
Yeah.
when I go out or when I do stuff, but like at least like don't use it as something to be somebody else.
Yeah.
All right. That was a fucking long episode.
It was heaps good though. We covered a lot. And in my head, I was thinking when I
I
was going
think
over the
so.
notes, I was like, oh, it's not going to be that long. And then I just looked at the time and I'm
Yeah,
like, this is so good. We covered a lot.
I think so. Yeah. We had this for a while. We also had API curls Instagram on Instagram, and they've been dying for us to do a topic on beauty,
Yeah.
especially hair, because they're trying to normalize curly hair,
Yeah.
for us Asian and Pacific Islanders to embrace our natural hair. And I think it's such a beautiful movement. I'm only I'm slowly getting there with being comfortable with my natural hair.
Yeah.
Now I only straighten my hair when I go out now, whereas before, like I said, I used to do it all the time,
Every
even at
day. Yeah.
home, even if I wasn't going anywhere. But now, like, and Rob's seen my hair natural, frizzy, afro, whatever, and yeah, like I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
um, yeah, so I'm starting to get more comfortable with embracing my natural hair.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's still a work in progress. But I like
Yeah.
their movement. I like what they're trying to do. And I think all of us should just norm like embrace our natural beauty.
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
Um,
that was beautiful because I really enjoyed this episode.
Me too. Me too. Um, I- yeah, I think we tackled almost every aspect of beauty,
I hope so.
but I think it's needed. I really think it's needed. Like,
Yeah.
it's just so sad to see all these young teenagers going to get what is it called when they inject their lips to make it bigger? Lip injections. Sorry,
I,
lip
I had it in my
injections.
head, and then you said it, and I was like, I think it's lip injections.
Yeah. Lip injections, even the fillers. I don't know what fillers are, but they're getting it. It's
Yeah.
just sad. It's just sad, and they're beautiful girls as well.
Legit.
But that's why it's important to heal yourself. All right. Did you have anything else to add? Cuz.
No, I'm good. Thanks, cuz this was great.
All right. So follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter,
TikTok.
TikTok as well. TikTok, we've been going off. Few viral videos there. Sucks is only like because of Amber and Johnny Depp.
That's all right.
Amber
That's
Heard
all
it.
right.
But yeah, I'd be interested to see once we post up other clips, because I don't think my whole page is going to be about that case.
Yeah.
But I actually am waiting on I think they've taken a break, because I haven't seen anything on
I
that
think so.
case. But I am waiting on the cross examination of Amber Heard, so
Same.
staying tuned for that. Also subscribe to YouTube, our YouTube page as well. We decided to restart, separate our page from, it was originally our episodes were on Locusmith Media. Now we have our own page. We separated with, from Smoke and Mirrors and all the other podcasts we had on
Yeah.
there. So yeah, subscribe to us there. We're also on Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, I think every other streaming service. Yeah. So hit us up. Also, don't be afraid to please feel free to comment, send us a yeah, DMs, comment on YouTube, whatever. We're usually pretty good at responding to your messages. But yeah, stay safe, and we will see you in the next episode.